Dr. Sampath, we've seen Veer Savarkar become a recurring theme in the political debate, the political conversation, and now also in the street fighting that's taking place in Karnataka. What are you making of this? This fresh flare-up started in Shimoga with the erection of a Veer Savarkar poster in an area, after which 4 people have been arrested. 1 person was stabbed. What did you think of that?
Shiv, I think this is extremely unfortunate, and that too at a time when we are celebrating 75 years of our freedom, that someone who was in the forefront of our freedom struggle, Savarkar, he is being dragged in, as you rightly said, petty street politics, considering of course that the state is going to elections in a couple of months from now. So I see this as a fallout of that, which is extremely unfortunate, both for the people who have been injured in this clash and also to the legacy of Savarkar. Here was a man who formed India's first organized secret society, the Mitra Mela, which later became the Abhinav Bharat. Here he is a man who actually, led the first ever boycott of foreign clothes in India, by burning the foreign clothes in Pune in 1905, decades before even, Gandhiji came to India. Someone who gave a new history to India in the form of the 1857 uprising, which was hitherto called the Sepoy Mutiny. He, wrote a magnum opus called the First War of Indian Independence and elevated it to that status. Someone who was all the time kind of an inspiration for revolutionaries, be it Bhagat Singh, be it Sukhdev and Rajguru, be it Rash Bihari Bose, or even Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose till the very end. His book was, and he were inspirations for revolutionaries. To drag someone like him into this kind of political slugfest and street fights, I think it's extremely unfortunate, and we're doing great disservice to the sacrifices that someone like him has done. He was a man who got the highest, imprisonment of 2 transportations for life in the dreaded Kala Pani in cellular jail, amounting to 25 plus 25, 50 long years, and 14 years of which he actually spent the worst of inhuman conditions in the Andamans. So the least we can do is show some amount of gratitude and reverence to people like this who have sacrificed so much for the cause of our freedom. Instead, we are resorting to this kind of nonsense in the wake of politics.
The Prime Minister, Dr. Sampath, mentioned Veer Savarkar in his August 15th speech from the Red Fort as well. I'm sure you heard that. But the point is that many opposition parties, chiefly the Congress, have shaped Veer Savarkar as a hate figure, and it appears from the recent utterances from many opposition leaders, including the top command of the Congress party, that they've decided to hold up Veer Savarkar as a dominant theme going into this election season. A, what do you think of that? And B, do you think that's going to have any traction?
No, that's again very unfortunate, Shiv, because I think the Congress leaders need to go back and refer to their own tallest leader, Srimati Indira Gandhi. When Savarkar died in 1966, she as the Prime Minister had put out a very eulogizing message saying, his role in the annals of the freedom struggle is a very unique one, and that he is the very byword for patriotism, daringness and courage and so on. She got a stamp issued in his honor. She got a documentary film made through the government's INB ministry. She gave a personal grant to the Savarkar Memorial in Mumbai. So the Congress needs to then answer as to why, one of their tallest leaders, did she not know what all they are claiming that Savarkar is today, that he was a coward, he was a traitor, he was a British stooge, he was a conspirator in Gandhiji's murder. If he was all of that, and he was a proponent of the 2-nation theory, he was an Islamophobe and all these other epithets which are hurled at him, why on earth would Indira Gandhi, an astute politician like her and a great statesman, why would she do something like that? So I think this is more recent vintage, where for their political slugfest with the BJP and with Mr. Modi and so on, history and Savarkar unfortunately becomes a casualty and the fall guy in the process.
No, I'm glad you mentioned that letter by Indira Gandhi, because because the Congress hasn't quite explained their stand on Veer Savarkar now when you juxtapose it with that very, you rightly said, a very eulogizing letter.